Welcome, sweets. This is a requested cupcake tutorial. This is everything that you'll need to create this beautiful, stunning birthday gift, or even just something that you could practice doing. All right, so we're going to start out with a little bit of white fondant. We're going to use our small roller. We have our edible images already printed. I think I printed these a long time ago, but I'm almost sure that you guys can get this off of Amazon. We have our fondant tools that we will be using to cut out our $100 bills once we get them adhered to the fondant. All right, so let's go ahead and begin our work, loves. I'm glad you all are here. Like I said, this has been requested multiple times. This is Wilton's white fondant. Are you guys, do you guys use fondant a lot? Let me know down in the comments. Do you like fondant? Do you like using fondant? Do you use fondant on the back of your images? I feel like it creates a whole different vibe, y'all. And I just like the drama that comes from having a fondant backing. I mean, because yes, the images are wonderful, but when you have that fondant backing, it becomes stable. It looks a little bit better. I am using cornstarch so that my fondant does not stick to my mat, because we don't want to do that. We don't want to have the fondant sticking. When we go to lift it up, it distorts the size of the fondant that we are using. So be mindful of that too. I should have put a little bit of fondant on my hands. I didn't necessarily do that, but sometimes you can get away with not doing that. All right, so I'm just kneading the fondant and working it back in. And you want to do this a lot with your colors, especially if they have set for a while. This is white fondant, and as I stated before, this is a backing. So I don't really need to knead it that much. I just need it to be consistent throughout the fondant, right? Because we're not going to see much of it. We're going to see the sides because the $100 bills are going to be on top. So we just want to make sure that we're rolling our fondant out evenly, and my roller is beginning to stick. So you do see me taking some of the fondant off my hands and adding it to the roller. All right, so I'm flipping my fondant over and trying to find out what side is working best for me, loves. All right, my sweets. Sometimes you have to start over. You want to make sure that the fondant that you are rolling out is big enough for you to get your images on when you're doing this actual project. So I'm just kind of looking at my images and gauging. I don't always measure the size of the fondant, which is cool. You don't have to. I'm just trying to make sure it's the same thickness throughout the fondant, so I can lay it down and my images will shine through really, really nicely. Shine through is probably not the actual thing I should be saying. They're going to lay down complete and nice and evenly is what I'm saying. Okay, we're ready. We're going to lay the back side down, and you can see the back side has nothing printed on it, and I'm just placing I'm placing my $100 bills where I will be able to get both of them on there at the same time. All right, I'm smoothing it out with my hands, and I will tell you guys, I do use a fondant smoother as well, but mine's broke. So this is like my 5th one. I really gotta do better, but you know, it'll work out. Now that we have both of our images on here, I'm very lightly rolling to make sure that the images are pressed into the fondant. And because the fondant itself is brand new, it's really, really sticky, really tacky. So I'm able to adhere my $100 bill images without adding any water and taking the chance of damaging my images. So that's something that you may want to take into accountability when you're doing this as well. I like to use brand new fondant because it just kind of sticks on its own. You see me still using my hands to smooth everything out. Of course, we gonna make sure that our hands are clean. We're gonna make sure that they're completely dry. You don't want to touch your fondant and make it sticky with wet hands, nor do you want to touch these images and have to reprint them because the images end up distorted. Okay, now we're ready to take our fondant tool and easily cut them out. I leave a little bit of edge on mine for the dramatics of it. And then I cleaned it up with the back side of the fondant tool. So what you see me doing is going through and cleaning up, cutting loose the image. And I'm pulling away any of the fondant that I don't need so that I don't get extra fondant when I lift up, distorting the shape. That's what I don't want. So I remove any excess fondant that won't be used before I ever try to lift my shapes up. Sometimes I do rush and forget, which, you know, sometimes it's fine, sometimes it's not. Now, as you see, I'm going through and cutting small portions of the fondant when I seen that it was not really as thin as I wanted it. The image was, you know, there was a lot of extra fondant with the image. So I wanted to go ahead and rectify that before we move on. Because if you do this correctly the first time, you won't have to touch it again. I did not use any dextrose or tylose on this fondant. Again, it's brand new. I wanted it to be sticky. I did not want it to firm up on me quickly. Those of you that are new to fondant, dextrose or tylose firms up your fondant, especially when you're making images, like characters, using molds, things like that. You want to use that so that it stays firm into whatever shape you've pushed it into. I don't want that for this. I just want to be able to just cut my images out. You can see me talking to my babies. And, you know, football Saturday, y'all. Do y'all have a favorite team? Did y'all see? I did not realize my cup. Shout out to my oldest queen. She bought me this one year, and I use it all the time. If you like college football, drop me a football down in the comments, loves. I would love to know. My family from down south, so they definitely holler on Roll Tide. But I've been a Michigan fan since I was about 13 or 14 years old. So we just gonna stay where we know, right? Okay, so as we work on this second image, you can see me scoring away any excess fondant. And I'm really just looking at both images and making sure they kind of look about the same, even though they're two different $100 bills. I want to make sure that they look really, really clean because these are a focal point for this cupcake cake. All right. And these are going to be, as you guys seen, they're going to be the standout portion of the cake. So this is for a 19-year-old. Shout out the baby girl. I appreciate her. She always trusts me with her cakes. Her mom used to many years ago. And now she's grown and she trusts me with her cakes. So we want to make sure this is the best birthday that she's going to get. Every year we try to outdo last year. So we're just taking our time and scoring back and forth. You can see my thickness. I want to say it's about 1/4 inch. I'm sure people use thicker, but because these are cupcake cakes and I don't want to take away from the beauty of the rosettes of the numbers, I'm really kind of trying to have this stand out but not take away or distract, because there's going to be some other items on the cake as well, right? So these are not actually my focal point. My focal point is going to be the numbers themselves. I want the numbers to matter because they do. All right. I'm going back in and I'm taking the back side of my fondant tool and I'm just smoothing it, lining my fondant up with the back side of the tool. Anything that's too much excess, I am cutting away. Don't be scared to leave a little bit of extra and then be able to cut it away as you finally get toward the image size that you want. And I do that quite often because you can always take away, but you cannot re-add, loves. That's something I had to learn very much so early on. I would rather have too much to start with and be able to cut away small portions than to cut away too much and not be able to add it back and have to roll all of these, especially with my images adhered, because sometimes they stick so good that you cannot pull them off the fondant. You can, but it doesn't turn out. It does not turn out the look that I want. And this is the tool that I was using, just so you guys are able to see it. And here go my cupcakes. They're so pretty. Butter cupcakes, y'all. Butter cake cupcakes with the rose gold wrappers. I mean, because presentation is everything, right, loves? and she wanted pink, so why not? All right, you guys see me, I have a piping tip. It was listed in the beginning. I cannot remember what it is, but I also have my Wilton's 1M. Both of these tips are by Wilton's. You can pick these up locally, most likely. Like I said, Joann's is where most of my tips have been bought over the years, but I see now Walmart carries them in store. Some of them, not all of them. But as usual, I will shout out Amazon, and I do not have any in my Amazon store because I am still building, my loves, but we are going to get things taken care of, my sweets, right? All right. So I'm cutting my tip. Now, please be sure to cut your tip. Don't cut it too short because it will not let all your icing come through, but you don't want to cut it too big either because your tip will fall out. This is a kind of a delicate process, and I'll say it took me probably my first year to be able to cut tips correctly, because especially with the 1M, you don't want to cover up any of the tip. You want it to be cut back far enough. I used to take my fingers as a guide to be able to do such things, right? I got my buttercream. Y'all go check out the buttercream video. It will be up. Shout out to me, because y'all know I don't like to measure buttercream. I measure it by sticks. But I took the time to make y'all a video because I love y'all, my sweets. And I know y'all love me back. So anything that you guys want me to do or want to know more about, if I have that skill, I will show y'all. Just drop it down in the comments. I will answer you. All right, so I'm using a cup to stuff my piping bag because, as I say every video, my hands are huge, baby, and I don't want to overstuff these bags. Now, the first tip that I'm going to use is just the open tip. You know, the 1M is not really used until I get ready to actually rosette. And I'm looking at the different sizes of my cupcakes. Now, I don't know how anybody else does these cupcake cakes, but for these types, I try to overfill a couple cupcakes so that my my $100 images will sit up and not like just be flat, if that makes sense. I want it to be dramatic, y'all, dramatic. So some of these cupcakes are overfull on purpose. Overfilled. I don't know if I should say overfull or overfilled, but it is on purpose so that I can create what I'm looking for. I want the dramatics of the image to pop out. And there's something else that I'm going to put on the cake. You guys will see in a little bit, right? So what I'm doing here, this is 24 cupcakes. Sometimes I can make the number 19 with 27 cupcakes, but just because of the board, which is a half sheet cake board, loves, like I stated at the beginning, and you can see how I lined up my cupcakes, the 1 and the 9. Okay, so I lost one because I want the numbers to be really close, so I took 1 out of the 9 to make it look more like a 9 for me. All right, now it's time to mix some color. I'm excited, y'all. So right here, you'll see me mix 2 different colors, right? And it's so that I can create what I'm looking for, because the color I'm looking for is not a typical color. Rose gold is not a color. So I'm going to take a creamy peach and a rosé, and I'm going to mix them separately, and then I'm going to mix a little bit together to create the color that I'm looking for. So right here, you see me with my creamy peach on the right hand side, my rosé on the left hand side. Rosé is just pink. It's not the light carnation pink, but it's just a pink. It's nothing fancy, y'all. And I'm just adding a little bit of color. So be careful. Again, you can always add more. So let's add less to begin with and just get a feel for where our color is going to take us. Now, I have to tell you, please make sure that you mix your color in fully unless that's not what you want. I always advise that you mix your color in fully because you don't want to get to piping and all of a sudden you run out of color. That's just a weird thing. Now for these cupcakes, that will be fine because I'm creating a blossom look, right? A lot of times I used to take a Russian piping tip to do this, but I mastered the skill of mixing colors together in a baggie. and then when you pipe it out, it creates a beautiful image. So you guys will see as I stir the creamy peach a little bit more. No, I'm sorry, this is rosé that I'm stirring, the pink. So we're gonna start with the pink because that is the base for my color, right? And I just wanna keep it light. Now we're gonna add the creamy, wait, what is that? Oh, okay, so this cake is going to have edible disco dust on it. It was purchased off of Amazon. So I don't link things in the comments because I really kind of do be forgetting, y'all. This is a lifestyle. Okay. But please do your research because all glitter is not edible. So let's make sure that we're getting the sugar that has been crushed up in a food processor, because that's what this is, right? Some people break it up and you kind of get better ones, but there's a few out there. Just do your research on it. And just because it says non-toxic does not mean that it's edible, loves. Okay? I see a lot of bakers getting that kind of mixed up. Now, this is, what color? This is the pink. This is the rosé. Okay? I'm trying to adjust the color to my glitter, right? I want it pretty close to the glitter. Even though I am going to add the creamy peach to it, I want it close enough that I will be able to continue to mix. I don't want it dark, let's say that, okay? So I don't want it too dark, but I don't want it too light. It is a very fickle thing. I'm telling you, I love colors and I love coloring. So this part can be tedious for those of you that may not like doing this. But once you start doing it, you'll be able to get it down to a science. Just know that it's really not hard. It's a little bit more tedious than anything. And now I'm stirring the creamy peach in. I'm going real light on these colors. And the color on this video is actually turned up so that you guys can see, because the sun was fluctuating and it kind of was messing. It kind of was messing with the lighting. So here I am. You see it's a really light color. And I'm just going to continue to stir over and over and over. And I'm making sure I'm hitting my bottoms. Y'all, it may look like I'm really just stirring superficially. No, I'm not. I'm stirring it fully. All right, so I'm adding just a smidget of this creamy peach at a time to the rosé. And we're going to see what color this makes. So this is kind of the more tedious part of the mixing in one color and then seeing if it's the color that I want. Because if it's not creating the rose gold-ish color, then I need to go back to the drawing board and add more of the creamy peach or more of the rosé. So I'm just gonna gauge it. I'm stirring it in. Now it's darker than I want, so I'm going to add a little bit of buttercream. Like I said, this is a balance, loves. And I really don't even need this much icing for what I'm trying to do, but I added too much color. So since I'm over on the color, I'm gonna add some white to lighten it back up. And hopefully this works out. Okay, so of course, when you add the white, as you may have to add a little bit of any other color to balance it out. Just go slow, loves. And I'm just stirring and making sure that it's all incorporated so I can fully understand and see what color I am going to get, right? All right. At first I was a little bit sad, but I'm starting to get happy. I see it's turning the color that I'm looking for. It's kind of like a coral peach pink color. And it's, like I said, it's not a color that a lot of people do. It's not rose gold, but it's not pink either. So I think it's always beautiful for the contrast of this cake. And I've been doing this color for about 3 years. And a lot of people give me compliments on it. So that's what made me think, because she gave me free will. That's what made me think that possibly it would be good. You guys can see me adding a little bit more buttercream, of course. If you like your buttercream white, I would say take the tip of a toothpick and put a smidget of purple in it. It will turn it bright white. But for these, I kind of wanted um, regular buttercream color, which is kind of like a yellowish white or a winter white color. So that's what I was doing. And I'm going back to stirring, y'all. All right, arm is burning, but loving the vibes. Wrist is definitely burning, but I know this is all worth it in the end. You know, when you understand where you're going, and finally I get to sit it down. Yay, I got what I wanted, y'all. I am smiling. I know y'all can't see me off camera. I am smiling because I love it. All right, we're gonna move the one we're not gonna use out the way. All right, now we are ready. I love to do an outline, especially when I'm using rosettes as the focal point. I do my outline. Number one, it holds the cupcakes together, right? Okay, water break. So you'll see me work my icing down in my bag, right? And I'm going to get ready to outline the number 1. And then of course I'm going to do the number 9. I don't know which one I'm going to start with first, but we're just going around the edges. See, when I color in the lines. I outline first. So yes, I pipe icing the same way. We're just thinking about what that number 1 should look like, and we're just going down and tracing the edges of the cupcakes. And I feel like this creates a very clean look for us, right? It'll show in your work if you don't, loves. I see people just throw rosettes up there, and yeah, they might be cute a little bit, but there's something about taking that extra time for this extra step that just puts you in a whole nother realm. There's nothing against people that don't outline. It's their preference. But for me, I just feel like it looks a little more polished. Like I said, birthdays are really, really big in our house, and I love the reactions that we get from the cupcake cakes that have the outline. Because I know one lady was like, oh, I don't like a lot of icing. I said, okay, would you like for me not to put the outline on there? That will take away some of the icing. She was like, yeah. But then when she got it, she was like, oh, they're pretty, but they don't look like your other ones. Of course not. Because you got a flat rosette. So that outline is going to hold up your rosettes as well. Okay? Now, you can see me twisting my bag to make sure that I always have enough icing so I can keep a consistent pipe, consistent pressure. And you can see my lines are pretty much going to be very consistent around these edges because we want it to, again, look a certain way to hold up the rosettes as we are doing this piping. And I see where I missed the edges on a couple, so we're just going to come back through and fill in any parts or any portions that I feel like could look better with a thicker edge. All right, you see me going back in. I'm actually on the same line. It may look like I'm making a second line. I'm not. I'm just going back in, and now you can see very detailed that this is a number 9, right? So any rosettes that may fall short will be covered by this outline of icing. How'd you get so smart? I love it. I love it. I love it. Hands are burning, but yeah, we're going back to the number 1 to do the same exact thing. We're going to do what we can so that it will come through as a thicker edge. Is that what I need to call it? No, a thicker border, because this is a border for our rosettes, love. Do you love roses? I love roses, and I love it when my loves buy me roses that are ombre or multicolored, because that's what we're going for on this particular cake. Well, not necessarily ombre, but it's kind of considered an ombre. Okay, y'all see, it's time, love, it's time. We gotta put a little bit more icing in here, not a lot. And I'm using my yellow spatula to push the icing in. Be mindful of bubbles that could pop up in your icing, air bubbles. So when you refill your bags like I do, just try to make sure you get it down in there together. And then if you need to work it down like I'm doing, you'll be able to work it down and it won't be such a issue. But you see, because I can look at my bag and tell that most of the air bubbles are gone, it was only a little bit of icing, I can come back through and start back working really, really quickly, and boom, we're good. All right, loves. So as you guys can look down and see, the one, because it's so close, it kind of looks like I almost covered the whole thing. I did not. There's still room. All right, so I'm gonna squeeze this icing out of this bag because I am finished with the open tip, right? And yes, I want it all out the bag because I don't want to have to use the Q-tips, the toothpicks to clean this out. So while I got the piping tip still in the bag, I'm just gonna take the baggie and push it through. I don't know how you guys get rid of your icing, but that's what I like to do, and I'm gonna mix it back in because we've done nothing with it. All right, we're ready for our 1M. Let's go, guys. Are you guys excited? Because I'm excited. Y'all see me with my small offset spatula. This is one of my faves when I'm doing this, and I'm just, any edges that are lifted up, I'm coming through and lightly smoothing them down. When I say lightly, I mean ever so gently, like you would hold a baby. We're not even adding a lot to it. I'm just going through, and some of it will end up on your offset spatula. Just remove it. If there need be, you can put it on a cupcake, or you can wipe it back into your buttercream container. And y'all see that I am smoothing it down. It looks a lot better. So just like, you know, you would do on a cake, you want your edges smooth. So that's what we're doing. All right, my loves. Okay, my sweets. Now I done let my OCD kick in. Never mind that, because like I said, I wanted this to be absolutely amazing for baby girl. And I keep seeing spots that I just want to touch. I just want to touch it. I just want to touch it. And keep in mind that some of the icing I did remove because for me, I'm thinking about my placements. And I don't want to have a lot of icing and then have it take away from my image or my crown that's going to go on this cupcake cake. All right, so let's get ready. Not to rumble, but let's go ahead and put this 1M in this baggie, baby. We're about to be so blessed with these beautiful rosettes. It's gonna be such a vibe. I'm so excited because I forgot to show y'all that it was the 1M, but y'all heard me say it. It is the Wilton's 1M piping tip. I think when I first started, that was the one that I used to fear. I hated the 1M piping tip. I was so traumatized by it, and I just kept working at it, kept working at it, and baby, it's my favorite tip now. I ain't gonna lie to you. I love it. At first, I started with the 2D because the 2D gives beautiful rosettes, but guess what? I forced myself to work through my traumas and my fears, and me and this Wilton's tip became friends. Now, okay, so loves, I know I'm not really showing you all. What I am doing is going on the left side of the bag with a small amount of icing, and the right side of the bag with a small amount of icing. For this particular thing, you want to add the color before you add your whites, okay? And I'm just making sure it's down in my piping bag, making sure I got enough color to do okay, my baby walked by and bumped the camera. Sorry, y'all. He's actually a runner. He's autistic, but he's a runner. He probably ran by. But regardless, y'all. So what I'm doing is making sure there's enough to pipe at least half of these cupcakes, I hope. So it's kind of a lot of icing that I'm putting just straight down the sides, not through the whole bag, but down the right side, down the left side. That is it. Okay, I know y'all can't see this. I am going to be purchasing new things so I can create better content for you all, but you guys can see I went down the right side and the left side of the bag. I will be coming back with white icing on the other two. I'm gonna twist the cup, and I have another small spatula which works best for this. I don't want to use my big yellow one because it's too much icing and you can't really control it. So here I am in the spaces that you have no white. I mean, you have no color, you're gonna add white, right? And that's what I'm showing you guys. We're adding the white icing to the other sides of the bag, which will still be the left and the right because I have turned the bag in my hand, if you understand what I'm saying. All right, so I'm just gonna keep going until I start down deep, and then I add a little bit more. It's kind of like packing on, I don't wanna say packing on, but building up. So I build my way out of the cup. I start down deep, so like the middle of the cup, and then I add a little bit more, moving toward the top, a little bit more, moving toward the top, and then until I finally reach the rim or the top of the bag that I want to be at. And that works a lot. As you guys can see, there's a beautiful roundness of this. Now, what we're gonna do, take the big spatula, and I took the big spatula and put a big drop of white buttercream down in there. On top of that, I'm gonna add just a smidget of pink on top of that white. So it's gonna create a very different look for us, right? And we're gonna work our icing down this 1M piping bag. And you guys can look at the tip. You guys can see from over here, one side is white, one side is pink. Even as I turn my bag, I decide what side I want to work on. And I begin to start my rosettes. Now, like I said, I do have content things coming, so I will be able to show you guys how to create a full rosette. It's really just a circle, but sometimes it can get tedious, especially on a cupcake cake, because sometimes the cupcakes don't line up. Like this number 1, very cool, but this number 9 is going to give me problems, but I'm going to work through it. And I'm just looking at where the cupcake itself is, and slowly, it may not look slow to y'all, but I'm slowly taking my time and working through making a full rosette on each cupcake. What does that mean? I'm going from the middle, working my way all the way out to the edges. And if I have any excess, so that I get a clean rosette, I wipe it on the next cupcake on the part that has no icing. That is the fundamental thing, keeping your tip clean. And rather than stop and wipe all my icing onto a paper towel and lose my icing, because y'all know butter and eggs is expensive. And this is just American buttercream, so this is not meringue, so there's no egg whites in it, but I'm just saying, I don't want to lose my butter. I buy good butter, baby. All right, so as I push my icing down, y'all see I was able to complete the whole number 1 with the amount of icing, and this is a large piping bag. I got these on, I don't know where I bought these, but I don't like these bags. That's what I'm gonna get. I'm gonna get at that. Okay, so I'm realizing that the pressure of the bag has to be particular, because I can't squeeze to do the whole rosette the way I normally would, which is slowing me down as well. And so that you don't bump your other cupcakes, I recommend that you can control your tip with the hand that you're not piping with, okay? And I like to start on the outside and work my way. I always start on my left and work my way to my right, no matter what I'm doing on these cupcakes. It doesn't matter the number. That's just how I've always worked it. So I think now it's just a habit, muscle memory. I think, yeah, that's what we call it, muscle memory. So my muscle memory is to work left to right on this, because I am right-handed. I am ambidextrous, but y'all know I can say it. I can't say it right now. But as we continue to pipe, you want to make sure that you're piping the same way. And because I want to keep the same amount of color, because if you look at the piping tip, as you get low, you may run into more white than pink or rose gold, coral gold, whatever it is. So I'm being mindful of doing the top of the cake, because a lot of pictures will be taken, because that's probably where I want to place this crown and this $100 bill. So I don't want white where the crown goes. I don't mind if it is under the $100 bill, but I'm low on icing. So I'm squeezing this back into the bowl. I will end up mixing this back in. And you see, I got everything out. I'm being delicate with this bag because I don't want to bust the bag and have to start over with a new bag. I just want to refill the bag itself. All right, so here we go. I am reopening my bag. Now, mind you, one side of this baggie is pink and one side of it is white. But if it doesn't matter to you, just put your colors back in how you want to. If you're like me and it does matter, go back to the same sides and put the same exact colors. And that way, as it pipes through, it will show pretty much close to the same colors that you did last time, right? So that means put the pink on the pink side and put the white on the white side. And just refilling it, making sure I'm not overfilling, making sure I'm putting in the least amount of icing at a time so that I hopefully don't get too many air bubbles, loves. That is one thing that you really have to be careful when you're repiping a bag or refilling a bag to pipe. You don't want all these air bubbles, especially when you're doing a rosette or a design, because you'll mess up your design. You'll have to scrape it. Thank goodness, I think these worked out pretty good, so I didn't have to scrape any of them, not really. And I'm mixing that icing that I piped out the bag, I pushed out the bag, I'm mixing it together to create almost the same color, but this is what I'm going to use for my color size of the bag now. Sometimes what I do when I first go with the baggies, I'll just decorate every 2 to 3 cupcakes. That way, if I have to go back in and reset the bag, of course I will, you kind of get a more even or a more balanced look, rather than one side having all the same color and the other side might be a little bit lighter. But regardless, it's still gonna be cute, yo. I want to do this for myself or have my kids do it for me for my birthday. What do y'all think? I don't want to tell y'all the number, but it's a big number, y'all. It's a blessing, but they got time to practice. They gonna have time to practice because my birthday is not until next year. Gotta give them something to do. Because I love the cupcake pull apart. The thing I don't like is sometimes I don't use the edible glue on the bottom because it seems like people don't really recognize that. So what I'll do is go around the sides and add a little bit of icing. That way you see it. So you're not just touching it and end up with it on you. But it seems like edible glue, people don't really know it's there, and then they got it on their clothes. Kids got it on themselves. So I kind of have moved away from that, and I've kind of just put a few dollops of icing around cupcakes so you can see, and it holds them in place as well. Well, shoot, if you make these, let me know. What do y'all do? I'm open for suggestions, loves. All right, we ready to go again. Let's go. All right, here we go. As I breathe, sometimes I hold my breath while I'm doing this, which is not good, but I am slowly making my rosettes, and I'm making my way, and I'm making my way down toward the bottom of the number 9, right? All right, so be careful to situate your bag how it feels best for you. Don't let the bag run you, love. You run the bag. Keep it under your control so that you're getting the look that you want from this. Because when I was younger, when I first started, I used to kind of let it do what it needed to do. And you guys see me turning so that I can get the look that I want. That's why I'm turning the cupcakes, especially trying to get that number 9. The bottom of the 9 is a little bit tricky for me because it's close to the number 1 as well. And I do not want to bump that number 1. So I'm going back in, looking at my spaces, and I'm just dolloping. And you know, the one, if you don't know, the 1M is a star tip. So it's kind of like putting a star there. And I'll be able to go back and add little embellishments to them if need be. But again, I'm going to use disco dust too. So it's going to stand up. And here we have it, our number 19. Watch the cupcake slide. Oh my gosh. almost had a heart attack right there because I forgot I hadn't even made sure that they were secure yet. I just was so excited and so happy, but here they go. And you guys can kind of see what the rosettes look like and how I was able to maneuver through them. All right, so here you guys see me putting together my disco dust pump. I only use it for disco dust. I do not use it for the liquid like some people use. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I bought this many years ago and I don't use it often. I feel like I can do better with my Wilton's brushes, or not my Wilton's brushes so much because those are expensive. But I had gotten, a long time ago, I got some very petite paint brushes and I boiled them. Oh Lord, I want to say I boiled them for about 5 minutes, and I've been using those for years to apply my disco dust. Now you guys see my pump is getting stuffed. I don't know what it's doing. And I don't want to have to fill my whole tube. That could have been the problem too. I feel like it takes too much to do that, and I'm coming back with this spray. I got this at Walmart. I want to say it was like $7 or something, $7, $8 where I live. It was simple, but it added not a firmness. It added more of a pink, like a carnation pink. It wasn't rosette. I mean, it wasn't rose gold, but it looked cute on the rosettes. So that plus the disco dust created this look. And you guys will see me with my crown. Oh, how cute. I love that. So we're going to use that in just a second. I want to make sure that my placements are good. So let's go ahead and put our $100 bills on, because we want to make one dramatic and one not so dramatic. But I want the attention on the right side of the cake because that's where I'm going to end up putting the crown, I think. So that $100 bill is bent. Now with this fondant, it helps it stand up for you. So keep in mind, if you like the idea or the look of the bent dollar bills, whether they're, I think most of the time they're $100 bills, but you guys can see like the one that's laying down, not so dramatic, but the one that's standing up, yes. And I have a happy birthday plate. I ordered this off of Etsy. And what else? So I'm doing my dance because I'm really excited. Now to hold my crowns on, there is a small 2 little holes that I use inside the crown. I just take a toothpick, push down in there, and then I add them to the cupcakes where I want them. Well, did I use 2? Yes. Looks like I'm going to use 2 toothpicks, and you want to hold these toothpicks still as you place them down. That way you don't have to necessarily push the crown down so far into your rosette, because that was a lot of work, y'all. That was a lot of work. And we want to keep that beautiful, beautiful rosette as much as possible. And I'm doing my dance. Y'all see me? I get my shimmy on when it's good. All right, so now I'm coming back with a disco dust brush, and I'm painting my $100 bills with disco dust so that they will reflect in any light, right? So when you see people with the glitter cakes, and this is what they are using. Well, I'm not gonna say this is what they're using. This is what I have used for the past 6 years. So if you follow me on social media, and y'all should follow me on Facebook or follow me on TikTok. Facebook, ESNT Cakery of 614. Follow me on TikTok, E614 Sweets and Treats. All right, loves. So I'm just decorating the $100 bills. I'm trying to make sure Ben Franklin is still seeable, and you see me taking a small amount and going over the cupcakes and trying to add a little bit more disco dust, because like I said, my pump was clogged or whatever was going on with that. So I wanted it to really stand out and bling, and like I said, she loved it, I loved it, her mom loved it. So there's people that were asking for this. So loves, this is how we create this look. And there you go. Here we go. You guys can't really see it because the sun was really, really bright, but you can see the dramatic of the $100 bill, her birthday plate, and then we have the other $100 bill. Y'all see it shimmering and shining. All right. And then we have the crown, which you guys really couldn't see, but I'm gonna turn the camera sideways so we can kind of get a picture of what it looked like. All right, guys, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Until